I hope everybody enjoyed their meal. Want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Espastos for catering tonight's event. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Clyde Beffa Jr., class of 63, his son Trey from K&L Wines for donating the delicious wine that's on the table tonight. Thank you guys. And once again, I'd like to welcome those watching us on our live stream tonight. So welcome to tonight's event. So our first speaker is someone who holds a special place in my heart. I met this gentleman more than 20 years ago when he was hired at Sarah. I was immediately attracted to his passion and commitment for Sarah High School. My oldest son, Matthew, who's here with us tonight, played for Coach, and the life lessons he learned from playing here at Sarah were equally as important to what he learned as a player. He's a leader and has been fundamental in continuing to build our Padres into young men of faith, leadership, and humility. I am so appreciative to call him my close friend. Please join me in welcoming Sarah head varsity football coach, Mr. Patrick Walsh.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Love you. It's great to be here. It's really great to be here for so many reasons. We have gone through so much, and to have this first event here this evening together where we can look at each other and see each other's smiles and everything that's great about life is this is how life is supposed to be. So welcome to Sarah High School. Well, I'm really excited to speak tonight about Father Joe. We've come a long way. I remember after I got hired here by Mr. Mike Peterson. Where are you at, Mr. P? Good job. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Father Joe pulled me to the side and said this. He said, "This may not sound very priestly, but you need to win." Thankfully, we've done a little bit of that together on Father Joe. But the first time I met Father Joe Bradley was the second time in my life that I had ever stepped foot on our campus here on 20th Avenue. The first time I stepped foot on this campus was as a De La Salle baseball player. Sarah at that time, don't make me say it here, Jeff. Sarah had just opened up the new locker room, and I was in awe of the spirit of the school. As a senior in high school in 1993, I was pulled and drawn to Sarah in a weird way at that time, and even though my Spartans lost that day, I felt honored to be on the campus of this famed and storied baseball school. Little did I know that 21 years later, I would be introducing Father Joe Bradley at our massive fundraiser, who in my opinion is the best thing that's ever happened to the school. When the job opened up in the winter of 2000 and rolled into the spring semester of 2001, I attacked the opportunity to earn this job as Sarah's head football coach with vigor and enthusiasm. I'll never forget the first time I met you, Father Joe, at my interview on campus, and no offense, it wasn't because you knocked me off my feet with your charm, that crisp white collar, and good looks. I'll never forget you because you were sitting right next to Tom Brady. It was in that little conference room that a life-changing relationship, now 21 years old, was born. Father Joe, the president, was how we grew to know each other in those early days. He was very busy working tirelessly to make Sarah High School the best high school on the planet. What bonded us together on the deepest levels of all spirituality was our ministry together in our football chapel services. Even though Father Joe was the president of our school, he still found time to lead us in those chapels. I won't bore you with all the details, but Sarah football is the reason why I coach at Sarah. And our chapel services is the reason why who we are as a football program today. It is fair to say that Father Joe, during those years, quite literally almost worked himself to death. In 2004, Father Joe's heart began to expire. And by the great grace of God, on August 5th, 2005, Father Joe received a new heart. In true Father Joe humility, he once said, "For me to live, that means someone else has to die. And you just simply can't pray for someone to die." I always thought it was interesting that the man who did die couldn't be any more opposite than Father Joe, an ordained priest in our Catholic Church. The man who died and saved Father Joe's life was literally a gang member in Los Angeles. While we have been living in these very interesting times the last 2 years and currently, this transplant proves that we all start from the same tree. We are all one. We are all one heartbeat. And with a new lease on life, Father Joe has now become our heartbeat at Sarah, a man that is washed in love and brotherhood and is the most humble man I know. Is it possible for angels to walk on this planet? Is it possible to have the divine in human form bless us with their presence? I say yes. Now, I'm not saying Father Joe is Jesus Christ, as he will often remind us. He is not perfect. But I do truly believe that God saved Father Joe for all of us on August 5th, 2005, so we could all benefit from his presence with us and his humility. Father Joe, with his gangster heart, has beat all the odds. It's true. It is near impossible to beat a failing heart. It is by luck, fate, and grace to find a matching heart. It is a tall task to make it through that first year. And through all of this, we have been able to learn from our human angel for the past 17 years, which again is beating the odds. Father Joe Bradley is the Sarah community. He has baptized our kids. He's wed our young men and women. And he has brought peace to those in despair at our Sarah Padre funerals. I love Father Joe Bradley. This school and this football program would not be the same without him. My son Willie just the other day said, "I love Father Joe. There's just something about him," and just kind of cast it off. And in true 17-year-old prose, there is just something about Father Joe. But what is it? How can a person's presence, their very being, alter your day in a better way? The minute Father Joe walks on this campus to come to practice, preside over our chapel services, or give mass to our boys in this very gym, we all just feel better about ourselves. This is God's grace in action. Kenny Peralta, a man who I love as much as Father Joe, but just not quite as much because you're not a priest. It's close, though. Summed up best the concept of this, "There's just something about him." And I'm going to quote Kenny here. "A lot of very religious people take religion so seriously, there is a little joy in their faith. Why do people make Jesus devoid of joy or happiness? There should be a spirit of joy in our faith and in our lives. Father Joe brings a needed joy, humility, and happiness to his ministry. In fact, the richness of Jesus is that he was normal, down to earth, a regular guy, which meant he had a sense of humor and humility, and this is mirrored in Father Joe." Those are beautiful words, Coach B. Thank you. It is obvious for those of you players in this gym who have been blessed to be on the receiving end of the years of Father Joe's chapel talks, the impact he has had directly on all of us on a spiritual level. When we are lost as a program, Father Joe shows us the spiritual way. When we get too full of ourselves after a huge win, Father Joe brings us back to earth. When we lose a close game, Father Joe picks us up and brings us back to our main purpose. We talk about being spiritual warriors in chapel. Father Joe is the chief of the spiritual warrior tribe. But for me, it's all about the bus. For 21 years, Father Joe has sat right next to me on that yellow bus, guided gracefully by the great Ed Berry, or a chartered bus when Coach Bell pulls the purse strings and takes care of all of us. Your presence, Joe, has guided the course of my life. Your presence has filled at times a soul that is void of grace and direction. You have always been there for me. You married Lindsay and me, and you baptized my sons. Yeah, you didn't marry Lindsay. That would have been bad. You are woven into the fabric of my life. Football has been and is my life. Football is a part of me, not because of the game. It is because of what you and I have done together for our great boys here at Sarah. I love our post-game rides together. We've enjoyed great moments on that bus. When the magnetic joy of young boys growing into adults can be heard through the music of their souls after huge wins, or even better, in a weird way, after a painful loss, when all you can hear is the breath of these same young men dealing with one of the most difficult things to do in life, face defeat. For in defeat and darkness, we know that is where true growth begins. Father Joe, you know this, and this is why I love you. But in closing, it's not the post-game bus rides that has drawn me so close to you. It's the pre-game bus rides, where we have discussed everything but football that has afforded me the opportunity to admire you so much. We have talked about literally everything from current events to politics and about struggling players. But what I love the most is while next to me, when we talk about nothing. We look out the windows of the bus with 60 young Padres behind us thinking about what's possible in this world. It is in these quiet moments when your heart beats next to mine, and for all of us as a community, when I know that I am the luckiest football coach on the planet because of you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Father Joe Bradley, Sarah Padre, class of 1973, and our Fun to Dream speaker, and most importantly, the heartbeat of the Sarah community. Stand up, Father Joe.